Welcome viewers to the series Exploring Careers, Creative Design. My name is Kashing Tan, the class of 2022.5 at Middlebury College, and I would like to introduce this episode's guest speaker. I am joined today by Yina Smith-Danenhower, the class of 2009, Head of Product Design at XAPP AI. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us here today, Yina.
Thanks for having me.
Well, as you probably have already known, this series explores a number of different professional roles involved in creative design. And could you please tell us a little bit more about XAPP AI and what do you do in your role specifically?
So XAPP AI is a company that does use machine learning and artificial intelligence to design chatbots and voice assistants for enterprises of different sizes, as well as small and medium businesses. We are a AWS partner, which means we are recommended as a company to design chatbots and voice assistants by AWS and refer to their customers. Currently, I am head of product design at XAPP AI, and not only do I lead the design of the dialogues of various chatbots and voice assistants, but I also steer the direction of the design direction of the entire company. Since the company didn't really have a design culture before my arrival. So one of my biggest job there is to kind of imbue the design culture into every business decision that we make and make sure that the design is making or steering the company into a better direction.
Mm-hmm. Could you please give us some examples of what kind of design culture that you're trying to establish in your company?
Yeah, partly is to establish some process. So again, they didn't have any design culture before, so they don't have any process. Basically, you just wing it whenever a project happens. And so one of the significant kind of initiative I'm currently working on right now is to start a product design process as well as a conversational design process, so that, you know, not just me, but any employee in the company can just follow that framework and design a good conversational design, good product design, as well as future employees who come on board.
Mm-hmm. So the product design is actually completely different from the conversational design.
Yeah, it is. In our case, it's a little. It's related. It's definitely closely connected, because the products that I design for XAPP AI are also used for conversations. For example, the chatbot widget that I designed is for chatbots. Mm-hmm. Also, I was working earlier on a conversational search bar, which, you know, if you've used Google to search for something, you're familiar with search bars. But if you have ever used a search bar in any company's website, it's not Google, it's their company's own search engine, and they usually are really badly performing. So designing a conversational search bar that allow us to pull AWS capabilities in order to return really accurate search results, as well as offer the customer some chatbot capability as well through the through the search bar. So, I mean, that is product design as well, but it is again related to conversational design. And other product design I did was designing our design system, coming up with a component library, as well as designing a website for the best practices content that we want to share with our clients. So yeah, I would say they are quite different, but in the case of XAPP AI, they are definitely closely connected.
Yeah, and then like the products at XAPP AI are like to a large extent actually try to engage artificial intelligence, right? And then based on my own experience of using some of the chat box with different websites before, it feels like it's like still a lot of human labor is involved. So I'm just wondering like how did that go? Like yeah, in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, a chatbot that we use right now regularly are not really artificial intelligence, because they're still designed by human. You know, like the dialogues are all still designed by human, and humans have to tune it to optimize it for it to perform better. Real artificial intelligence does not say things back to the user from what human programmed them to. They actually generate their response. So that's real AI, but we're not there yet. And yes, a lot of the chatbot are still designed by humans currently.
I see. And what do you find the most challenging, would you say, about your work?
Most challenging is that I guess you have to really understand and study how we converse, how humans communicate. It feels really intuitive, right? Everybody knows how to speak. I mean, you're speaking to me. We're communicating right now.
Yeah.
And I don't have to teach you how to do that, right? It seems really intuitive, but we actually use a lot of techniques when we converse, when we try to express meaning to each other. And, you know, a lot of people thinks that, you know, conversational design, it's easy. You just, you know, say what you say in a you know, like normal daily life. But actually there are quite a bit of techniques in terms of how you use language, what kind of tone, what kind of word choice you would choose, because all of those would represent a character or a personality, which even if you don't assign any personality to a chatbot, people are going to assign to it, because when you meet a new person, your back of the brain already is having all sorts of judgment and all sorts of assumptions about that person's, like, what kind of person that is. So a lot of the times we have to make sure that we design the word choice, the tone, and the behavior of a bot to be matching the company's brand image. It's what the company wants.
That's so interesting. Like you actually do assign personalities to the chat. So
oh yeah. So that's why my dance and performance background, it's somehow, I mean, coming full circle, I think I am using my dance and performance character building kind of ability and skills in my job right now.
Yeah, and then would you say that that's also the most interesting part about your job, or there's something else that's even more interesting?
Yeah, I really like that part. I really like the persona building part.
So unexpected.
And also, like, I've been reading this book about speaking, book called Speaking American, which is just talking about how different regions only in the US call different things completely differently. Garage sale, yard sale, tax sale, it's all means the same thing, but they just use different languages. And I think that is also really important when you design a bot for example, a specific region, kind of knowing the culture and how people talk as well. So that the studying of that cultural aspect is really interesting as well.
Who do you find yourself interacting the most in your job, like in doing what you do?
I work the most closely with the engineer. The engineer is actually co-founder as well. and he is also he's head of engineering and product. So I worked with him to lay out each product requirements, for example. So he was usually the one who initiated a product feature request because of, you know, some customer demand or what he saw in the market that is demanding kind of feature. And then he would suggest to me, and we'll put together the product requirement document together. And then also do some market research, look at competitors, who is, for example, who is doing conversational search bar, what other chatbots are out there for customer service, for example. And then I sometimes also work with the project manager. So we have individual enterprise projects for different clients. And there's a project manager that, you know, manages all these projects, and we also work closely with them. Other than that, I mainly communicate with the head of engineering, and that he communicates with the engineering team. I don't really directly have to manage the engineering team, but hopefully in the future I will have the chance to.
I don't know if this is shareable, but I was just wondering if you have ever designed a persona of a chat box or something that's the most memorable, if it's shareable.
I can share two examples, actually. One is the Independence Blue Cross is one of our clients, the insurance company. And I designed a persona for that bot as someone who is, we have the character of like a very knowledgeable friend who is just, you know, a friend that you go to and ask health questions, and that friend is also very knowledgeable, so she can help, and it has a very friendly and warm personality. But one thing that I am kind of a bit not upset, but a bit dissatisfied about the way I designed the bot is that they specifically asked for a female, which I think is a highly contended subject in the chatbot world, because all the chatbots sounds female, right? Google Assistant sounds female, Alexa sounds female, Siri sounds female. And they have started to give you the option to change it to a male voice if you want, but the default is obviously still female. And a lot of people still have the idea that an assistant is somebody who is providing service to people. So that is, of course, a female, right? And that is something in the voice world that, you know, it definitely is, everyone is aware of, and everyone's still working towards it, but a lot of company still would ask for a female assistant. So that is something that I'm not completely, that I do not completely agree with. I don't think an Independence Blue Cross chatbot needs to have a gender. To be honest, it can be gender neutral if they are really, you know, supporting that line of thought. Another personality that I helped design was a very fun one. It's for kids games action. So Google calls them actions, Alexa calls them skills. Basically a voice app. And that action, we wanted to use the structure of a game show, basically. So we designed a host character and an announcer character, like a game show. And that was really fun because the host, we ended up using a kid's voice. So acting like almost like a big brother to the big brother or sister to the kids. And the announcer are kind of like a sidekick that is like giving, you know, funny little comments on the side, and that action was super fun to design.
I was just wondering, how has your role in this job changed over time? Because I feel like this is a field that changes very fast, right? Like artificial intelligence was introduced and then it has changed. And then I'm just curious within the past maybe years and even just month that you have worked, has your role changed a lot? And if yes, how so?
Yeah, for sure. My role in particular, I would say the industry is still going in a similar direction. But my role in particular, I was first hired to improve their patented conversational framework. It's called Optimal Conversation Framework, which is basically a framework of set best practices to design conversations. And they have a patent on it, and they wanted me to come on board to improve the framework. And mind you, that was my only instruction when I was hired. Improve the framework.
Wow.
Nothing else. And
yeah.
It's very interesting. So they sent me what they currently have, and I spent a long time kind of going through them line by line and researching Google and Alexa best practices and, try to improve it. And apparently they liked what I did. And so that's why they hired me as a full-time in the end. I was initially working as a contractor. And since then, I was hired to improve the optimal conversation framework and also to design the game skill that I was sharing with you earlier. So the game action has ended and they hired me on board, and I was still working on the optimal conversation, but my responsibility has expanded to designing the company's product a lot more. So especially because we have our own tool, we have our own website to help clients set up a chatbot. So that website has to have really intuitive UI so that our customers can easily set up that chatbot as well. So thinking more in, so when I'm working on optimal conversation framework, I'm thinking more in our enterprise clients point of view. But since I started work on our own chatbot tool, I start to have to think about the users who use the tool to build their chatbots point of view. So it's two different point of views, and I definitely think my role has kind of somehow expanded to cover both of them over the years.
Yeah. What would you say are the other biggest challenges shaping the conversational design going forward?
A lot of competition. I mean, the space, it's still in its young stages, so there's still space to advance. But I definitely think, like, if you just do we recently did a competitive analysis of companies that are offering chatbot service, and just, in 5 minutes we found almost 30 different companies doing
US.
Oh
wow,
doing exactly the same thing that we are trying to do. But I mean, we offer certain things that other people don't, and that's the areas where we wanted to put more effort into advertising and emphasizing those points that we offer that other people don't. So for example, conversational search bar, not every chatbot companies provide that. We also offer autocomplete in chatbots. So what autocomplete does is what you experience when you do a Google search, right? Google search has autocomplete. It suggests what you wanted to type. And even if you type something that is completely misspelled, it will correct you in the search result. right? And that kind of feature in Chatbot is a little bit different because it's not to suggest people to buy a product or to search for a specific topic. It's actually just to we call it guardrails. We're providing guardrails to the users because not a lot of people know how to use chatbots. A lot of people are scared and don't know what to say, what to ask. But as soon as you start typing, there will be suggestions on questions or things that you can say. And that serves as a guardrail. So I think that's also an advantage our company has against others. And yeah, so I mean, I think the challenges is just to keep developing those advantages to stand out in the industry.
So at Middlebury, you majored in dance. You have mentioned earlier you majored in dance and international studies, specifically in Japan. And please share with us like the rest of your stories from campus to your career right now.
Yeah, well, I mentioned a little bit how my performance and dance background has helped me in character building right now in chatbots. But I actually, when I started Middlebury, I was admitted to Middlebury with a psychology major. So I applied to Middlebury with psychology in mind. I wanted to study psychology. And mind you, that psychology as a discipline is also highly related to user experience and as well conversational user experience. Just understanding how humans process their environment and how like basically developing that sense of empathy as a user experience designer is super important. So I spent almost 2 years actually at Middlebury as a psychology major until I took more and more dance classes and I was like, oh God, I'm a dance major. Yeah, so and also just in general, just pursuing creativity, like not believing that, I mean, finding yourself, what interests yourself, what's your passion. And after I graduated Middlebury and be a dancer for 3 years, I didn't like my lifestyle as a dancer because it was tough, obviously. But I know I am creative. I need to do creative things. And that's how I kind of started thinking about architecture. So I think having experienced dance at Middlebury, and which is a complete pure creative discipline, has really kind of give me confidence and belief that I have that ability and I should keep pursuing that in my career. Architecture seemed like a really good place to continue my journey at that time.
Yeah. And how has your advanced degree in architecture kind of informed your career path later on, like design efforts?
I think I heard about UX design in architecture school. I also took a couple design thinking classes at the engineering school while I was an architecture student. So that is a big kind of introduction for sure. But also because I was introduced to UX, I know that you can design with the user in mind. You can design with the user as the central concern. While in architecture, it's a bit difficult because there are just so many other concerns you have to address first. Climate, structure, your environment, nearby buildings, program, like so many things you have to address before you even think about what would somebody feel like if she was to live in this apartment that I designed. So I started feeling unsatisfied, just not being able to think about the user fully. And also, I guess I'm just a really impatient person. Architecture takes at least 5 years for a project to realize. So as again, back to I want to make an impact. I want to feel that I'm making an impact every day. I feel like UX can give me that a lot more. But I would say right now, as a UX conversational designer, architecture has really helped a lot because as a dancer, my brain was I don't think in structures. Like I just think in this artistic abstraction and, but architecture kind of trained me to think in systems and how things work together, in addition to aesthetics. So I think architecture really gave me the ability to pull my left and right brain together. And I think that is really important for UX and conversational design as well.
And then what's next for you professionally?
I'm trying to, I definitely want to stay in the voice industry, because it just has such great potential to not only make normal people's lives easier, when you just can use your voice to do things, but also it has very significant impact on on accessibility, to making people who can't walk, for example, they can walk to turn on their light, they can use their voice, or some elderly people whose fingers are tight and can't type on the screen. All those implications for people with disabilities, it has really great potential to further develop, and also that the technology is growing so fast right now. In the past, chatbots used to be these dumb things, right? Everybody thinks they're dumb, but as we develop better speech recognition technology and better intelligence, I think there's a really huge potential.
Oh, thank you, Yina, for sharing with us your experiences. So one last question, what kind of advice do you have for the current students about how to best prepare themselves for this entry points into their career life?
Okay, I think there's generally two types of undergraduate graduates. One type is who know exactly what they want to do. So, I mean, if you're, say, a pre-med at Middlebury and you love it, you just go to med school, period, right? The other type is someone like me who maybe just chose a subject that they thought they were interested in, but they can't really make a career out of it. I would say using your skill, do whatever you can do in terms of a real job. I'm a little reserved at telling people to go straight to grad school after undergrad, because I think that unless you have experienced the real world before college, in high school or something, you work somewhere, you really don't have a sense of how the real world actually works. And spending a few years, even though those few years will be wasted, I mean, you can argue that my 3 years of dance is wasted, but if we really should discuss that, I would disagree. But those 3 years, I really learned how the real world kind of operates, and also got all sorts of soft skills that you will never learn in college, like how to deal with somebody you don't like in the same company. How do you negotiate with your boss for higher pay? Those things you can only learn by just submerging yourself in the world. And I highly encourage whatever, I mean, even my resume was all dance and Japanese studies. But as a dancer in New York, I found work as a part-time proofreader for legal documents. That's pretty well paid. I found work at a West Village studio doing as an assistant to that studio owner, but also doing creative websites and such. So what's the third job that I have? I think those are two main jobs that I had, but and also I mean as a dancer, dancing for companies. So just yeah, anything you can find that will give you a paycheck so that you can experience how do you deal with people, how do you deal with natural things that arise and develop those soft skills. I think ultimately, actually my husband was just telling me the other day that he finally realized everything that he learned in architecture school, it's not as important as the soft skills that he has. Like his soft skills of knowing how to negotiate with contractors, with clients, how to work together with other designers is the best thing that would get him hired again and again. And I would totally agree.
That's very inspiring. Well, Yina, thank you once again for your engagement with us in helping students to prepare for their first career destinations. Thank you so much.
No worries. You're welcome.
Yeah, well, this concludes this episode within the series Exploring Careers in Creative Design. In closing, I want to encourage viewers to tune in to get career perspectives and advice from a number of different professionals in a broad variety of organizations in our other episodes in the series. And I also want to encourage you to tune in to the other MIDDVantage series, which can be accessed through the Events and Programs tab on the CCI website. Thank you again for watching.